Hi there, welcome once again to our series of podcasts. Access all areas, the Tom Russell tapes. This week we're going to be going back to 2019. Not quite as old as some of the interviews that we've been putting out, but I thought this would be a good one to do. I interviewed this band maybe 3 or 4 times in the early days, and I think this was probably the last time I interviewed them, and it was in 2019, and they were playing a show at the Hydro in Glasgow, big sort of 10,000 seater venue, and they were doing a co-headline tour with Shinedown. They're called Alter Bridge, and this time we're chatting with Scott Phillips, who's the drummer in the band, and a very nice chap, as you'll hear in the interview. We're joined as usual by my two good friends, Scott and Andy from GlasgowApollo.com. They're the two reprobates that persuaded me to start doing these podcasts.
Been cold wash.
All these old interviews are lying in tapes up in my loft, my attic. And I always thought to myself, it'd be nice to put these out so that they've only been broadcast once in Scotland, so people throughout the world can now listen to some of these interviews if they so desire. So Walk the Sky was the album that they had just released, Alter Bridge, and it was quite interesting. One thing when I listened back to the interview, and you'll hear it coming up in just a couple of minutes, is I think it says it was the last of that part of the tour. They were out on a world tour promoting the album, and they had been out for a couple of months, and it was towards the end of November, I think, we recorded the interview, and it was the last show before they went home to Florida for Christmas.
Oh.
And I thought that was really nice. So lie back and relax. As always, we'll have a wee chat with Andy and Scott after the interview, and we'll dissect my questions and Scott's answers. So lie back, relax, and enjoy our interview from 2019 with Scott Phillips from Alter Bridge. Scott from Alter Bridge, welcome back to Glasgow again. It's not that long since you were last here.
Thank you so much for having us back. I think we were probably here back in 2016 or possibly 17. I know that we did a Glasgow show at the release of The Last Hero, the last Alter Bridge record, and came back over right after the Royal Albert Hall show that we did, or the shows that we did in London, but I think it was Edinburgh.
It was definitely Edinburgh.
Was the city that we were in last time. So it's always great to be back here. We love this venue, and I'm certainly looking forward to the show.
It's nice to hear you pronouncing Edinburgh correctly.
I had a teacher in middle school who was from Edinburgh, so I learned how to say it even with a bit of a brogue as well. So
a lot of people from your home country is Edinburgh.
Right.
I can't say it the way they say it, but they don't say it right.
Yeah.
Damn it. Yeah. Scotland's one of the first countries to take Alter Bridge to heart. Yes. back in the day, around about the time of that first album.
Absolutely.
How well do you remember that?
Actually, pretty well. I think it was the Garage is where we played, if I remember correctly. There's a couple different venues that we've played here before we were fortunate enough to move up into the Hydro here. But yes, I can remember pretty vividly. We always had the Logan boys, who were a local band that always made this journey with us, and Glasgow is their hometown, I believe, so we would always see them on a very regular basis, and a lot of their friends would come out to the shows and stuff like that. So it's always been a great home for us, and we are certainly fortunate and love the fact that we get to come back here at least once or twice an album cycle.
I praised you on your pronunciation of Edinburgh, but you failed the test on the Garage.
Oh, my bad. See, like I said, I had the teacher. She told us how to say Edinburgh, but I never got the Garage part. So
well, that's close.
Yeah, it's closer. We call it Garage, and back in in the States.
Now, this new album is just out, what, a couple of months now?
Yes.
And, well, how well's it been going down live? Presumably you're playing a few tracks from it live?
We are. We've got, I guess there's about 7 songs that we're sort of rotating through, where Wouldn't You Rather has been in the set since day one, since that was the first single that we released off the album. And the song Pay No Mind has been a regular in the set pretty much since we first started touring on this record. And then we've got a couple other ones that we sort of rotate through, depending on which night. We try to sort of keep it interesting for the fans, at least to have a couple of audibles per night where we can rotate through songs, so people that are coming to multiple shows don't feel like they're just watching the same show the whole time. Godspeed is a song that we started doing here on this European run, and it's been in the set every night since we started. But the reception's been great. You can certainly tell people are watching and listening, and they're not quite as active and dancing around and jumping and stuff because they want to watch the performance. Mm-hmm. But the reception for all the songs have been very strong, and we've gotten a lot of great feedback.
Do you find that when you write and record a new album and you go out and tour, that when you're in the recording studio, you think, that's going to be a great live song, that's going to go down live, and then when you start playing it on tour, it doesn't quite work? Does that ever happen?
It certainly does, and vice versa. There's some songs that you just think, this will be an album track, and then once you finally hear it recorded and all the parts added to it and then perform it, it might react a lot better than you thought it would have. You never know. I mean, you can have a gut feeling with any song and any album, but until you actually play it for and in front of the fans, you never quite know what you're going to get.
How long has the tour lasted so far?
We are approaching, we're coming up on about 6 weeks. We've only got 4 shows left, including this one. And then we'll head home for the holidays. But we came over here early November, the 7th or 8th, I think, is when we all flew out. So it's been a long journey, but it's been a great one.
That's what you do for a living.
That's what we do. That is what we do.
Interesting. I was talking to the Shinedown boys earlier, and we were talking about the meet and greet thing, the fact that this is, 20 years ago, if a band was signing an autograph and maybe getting their picture taken with the band at the stage door.
Right.
It was, there was no question of it, money changing hands.
Right.
But of course the business has changed so much now.
Very much so.
And an album like Walk the Sky would maybe have sold 5 million copies 10, 20 years ago. But now maybe you sell 1 million copies, so you've got to make a living by selling T-shirts, by doing gigs.
Absolutely.
And meet and greet.
Absolutely. Yeah, the industry has certainly changed, and the way the artists make money. And we are fortunate enough that our tours are well attended, especially over here. Bands have been doing merchandise forever, so that's always been a part of it. But album sales and the way you get paid from albums is completely different now. And obviously everybody if it's iTunes or Spotify or Pandora or whatever outlet you get your music from, very little of that ever makes its way to the artist itself. So we've all had to get sort of creative in finding different ways and different avenues to, maximize profit, but at the same time still give fans something that they can enjoy. And that would be, for us, and each band does it differently, but we have everybody come in and gets to watch us do sound check, run through songs, practice songs, whatever, and then afterwards there's sort of a meet and greet photo opportunity and a chance to say hey real quick. And then those fans are the first that are allowed to hit the merch booth, so they can get whatever they want before anybody else can. If somebody needs an extra small or double XL, and they get sold out during the show, and then also have early access back into the venue, so they can be right on the front row if they choose to be.
Another thing that's changed over a longer period of time, and I've lived through it, and I wonder how you would have managed back in the 60s and the 70s, the Beatles and the Stones and Zeppelin and Purple, etc., and Sabbath, recording an album in a week or 2 weeks, and quite often bringing out an album twice a year, if not one. Certainly, maximum was once a year. Alter Bridge and your contemporaries, it tends to be a 2 to 3 year cycle.
It is.
Do you think you could have managed it back in the day?
I think the whole process was probably a lot easier back then. Honestly, it was 4 guys in a room that recorded a song, and they did it till they got it right, and then they moved on to the next song. And nowadays, there's a lot of layers to it. The drums, at least the way that we've been doing it, is drums get recorded first, and then the bass, and then Mark's guitars, Miles' guitars, solos, vocals, overdubs. And it's, with technology now, it's much easier to make an album, I think. But it also seems to take a little bit longer to do it, just the way the process is. We've done recording where it was, the 4 of us in a room and just recording it. That was some of how Blackbird was tracked, the original, or the first one we started working with Elvis Basquiat, who's been our producer now for the last 5 records. Some of it was more live, and then some of it was done in pieces. But it's and I guess sort of the way the industry works now is they don't want you to oversaturate the market with new material or new albums per se. I know that there's a lot of pop artists and some rock artists that are considering doing it, but it's basically going in and just recording a couple songs and then putting them out, touring to support that, and then a few months later doing the same thing, as opposed to making full-length albums, which is not something that I think we would be interested in doing, but it's certainly an interesting take on the music industry these days.
We're talking to Scott Phillips from Alter Bridge, and it's time for some music. So I think we'll play a track from Walk the Sky. We'll go in the Deep. I wonder, Scott, is that one that you're playing live?
It is one that we do play live on any given night. It's one of the 3 or 4 that we sort of rotate through. I won't say whether it's going to be played tonight or not, but it'll certainly come up within the next few shows for sure.
Okay, let's hear it. In the Deep from Walk the Sky from Alter Bridge. That's In the Deep. It's from the new Alter Bridge album. The album's titled Walk the Sky, and we're chatting with Scott Phillips from the band. Scott, the album sleeve, I think Alter Bridge album sleeves are always interesting. They've always got that sort of sense of mystery. What's that about? And they've also, in my opinion, got that great, you can't put your finger on it, but you just think, I'd buy a t-shirt with that on it. It's looking great. I think it's Dan Tremonti that's done it again. Mark's brother.
Dan's, he's always been, as far as our albums go, and with this one specifically, the front cover, always an element of art, of some mystery to it. We've always wanted, our album covers to sort of stand on their own as something that are interesting, as opposed to just being a support for the band, name and the name of the album. So the imagery on this one I thought was really, really cool. We've seen a few tattoos already of people that had sort of rushed out when they saw it and decided that was something they wanted to commit permanently to their body. But I think each one is different, sort of alludes to the album title or whatever it is, but also has just sort of, its own merit, can stand on its own.
When it comes to songwriting, the whole band's credited as songwriters. You're actually sitting in a studio and maybe Mark comes in with a riff and Miles comes in with a bit of lyric. How do you contribute?
Well, I think Mark and Miles are certainly the primary songwriters, and a lot of it is catalog. They'll write constantly on the road, at home, whatever it is. And going back to technology, it's so easy now to open GarageBand or Logic or Pro Tools or whatever software you use, record some ideas into there and be able to add layers to it later on. But I think they're just trying to get their main riff and ideas down, and sometimes it's just a verse or just a chorus, and sometimes it's the verse and chorus, and a lot of it gets cataloged early. Then we'll all come in, the four of us together, and the last couple times with Elvis, our producer, and basically sit down in a room and hash through ideas. And that's a time where everybody just sort of gets to put in their input of what they think. If this part feels right, or this particular part feels like it's being forced in there and doesn't need to be there. It's just a time for the four of us to really kind of get the song structure down and find parts that all, give us a feeling or emotion whenever it's played. And I think that's sort of the approval process, is once the four of us are all on the same page, like, yeah, this is really cool. That's when we'll move forward with it.
In your opinion, and only in your opinion, who was the greatest drummer of all time?
Oh boy. For me, it would have to be John Bonham. I think he's probably, of all the guys that I was influenced by when I first started playing, and then sort of looking back to see who they were influenced by, it was certainly, he was sort of the godfather to me of modern rock drumming. And there's a lot of great drummers from classic rock era, but he was the one, him as a player and the band that he was with, that I really gravitated towards. So my vote would be Bonham, but I can certainly hear arguments for others.
Do you enjoy a dram of whiskey, Scott?
I have been known to partake in some whiskey. I tend to be more of a vodka drinker by nature, but I've certainly had my fair share of whiskey. I really like old fashions, which is just sort of whiskey, a little bit of water, some bitters, some sugar, and then a zest of orange, if you will, or whatever. That's become my gentlemanly drink of late, that I've really enjoyed.
Any particular whiskey?
Brian says Crown. That was,
I haven't drank in 7 years.
Yeah, that was
off the record.
Good man.
That was him back in the day for sure. He was the whiskey warlord, as we call him. But
Too much?
yeah,
No.
yeah. I mean, we've all been guilty of it, but he decided it was time for him to get clean, I should say, or walk the straight and narrow, and he's been a fabulous human being for it. So, for whiskey's a Bullet. I don't know if you guys
bourbon?
Bullet. Yeah, it's a bourbon, but I've certainly enjoyed that. I do like Crown Royal. I know that there are some great Scottish whiskeys that I'm not overly familiar with, but have heard great things about.
Have you ever been on a distillery tour?
Not of any major brand. I've had a very small distillery that was in Hilton Head, South Carolina, which is a small sort of little resort community that my family and I would go up there every few years for a vacation week. And the last time that we were up there, they've got a Hilton Head distillery where they do, they have a rum, I believe they have a vodka, they've got a couple of other things. I'm not sure if they do a whiskey or not. I'd have to go back and look. But we got to do a small tour of the distillery and then a tasting, and it was really interesting. I've always been interested in how that process actually works and the size of a building that you would need to do something like that. And they were certainly a small time manufacturer, but still had quite an impressive setup.
Can you remember the very first whiskey you tried?
Oh, I'm sure it was probably Jack Daniels. That would.
With Coke?
Yes, absolutely. Or maybe just straight at that time, yeah.
It's become the rock and roll drink. Back in the 60s and 70s, it was very much a case of Scotch and Coke was the Stones type of
Sure.
Scotch and Coke was the drink. But Jack Daniels seems to have taken over in that particular.
Yeah. It's such. It's from being from the States. It's such a major player there when it comes to whiskeys. Before you can even drink whiskey, you know what Jack Daniels is. So I'm sure that was probably the reason. That was my first sample of whiskey.
You've played here in Glasgow at the Hydro a few times. You've played other venues, as we mentioned, but you've played the Hydro a few times.
Yeah.
How do you rate it?
I think it's great. It's really, compared to some of the other arenas, which are all very nice, but they're more laid out for sporting events, which I'm sure that you can do here as well, but it's more of an oval shape, where the Hydro is sort of almost more in the round, a much larger floor area where I think it's better sight lines for crowd goers that can see the show. The accommodations for us are extremely lovely, and the building itself looks really cool at night with all the LED lights going. So it's certainly one of my favorites. I've remembered this place from the first time we played here. Like, I always kind of think back to fond memories of playing here and being here.
The Royal Albert Hall's another venue that probably brings back good memories.
It certainly does. Yeah.
Recording there with the 52-piece orchestra.
Yes.
How difficult was that, adjusting your performance and listening to different sounds?
It was an amazing experience. Certainly nerve-wracking. The prestigiousness of the venue itself alone was enough to raise your heart rate significantly. Playing with the orchestra, we all did a lot of homework ahead of time. We picked a set list that was not normal for us. We did a lot more of the epic songs that just felt like it. Having an orchestra added to them would really enhance those tunes. And so we picked a set list according to that. It was probably longer than we've ever played. It had to be close to about 2.5 hours worth of performance itself. We had a couple of days of rehearsal built in, and we were getting tracks from the orchestra. Basically, they had written out what they were going to do, put it into a keyboard, and then played it back, so we could kind of at least get a feel for what their parts were going to be. But actually sitting in a room and playing with them was completely different. And we all initially were saying, yeah, turn the orchestra up in our monitors, we really want to hear it. And then found ourselves missing complete sections of songs because we were so enamored with what they were doing that we forgot to do what we were supposed to do. So we finally had to adjust their levels back down to audible, but barely. And then going through the way that they had written the parts and their arrangements of the songs versus our arrangements of the songs. So there was a couple of things that had to be worked out there. At the end of the day, we thought that we would probably get through the set 4 or 5 times within those 2 days worth of rehearsals before we got to do the show. It turns out we only got through it once, from making adjustments and sounds and arrangements and union breaks and all, the typical things that go along with working with such a large group. We got through a couple of songs multiple times, but really the set from front to back just one time. So going in that first night, there were certainly a lot of nerves, but we were confident in ourselves and more than confident in Simon and the Parallax Orchestra to do what they do so well. And we got through it. The first night was a lot of nerves, but a lot of fun. And then the second night, once we really knew what we were, what we would expect, what the crowd would expect, it was like a big party. It was awesome.
2 quick questions to finish it. Scott, firstly, what's your sport?
For me, I'm an American football guy. I know every time I say American football, everybody over here says they don't even use their feet. Why would you call it football? I don't have an answer for that. But
there's an American football team here in Glasgow.
Is there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
It's building.
Yeah. I've seen that the NFL has had a few games over here this last year, trying to sort of spread the sport, see if they can grow their fan base. But I'm more of a college football guy. I went to Florida State University in Tallahassee. My parents both went there, so I was sort of born and raised on that. So that's the team that I follow, and really all of their sports I follow. But for pro teams, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're so close to Orlando. It's about an hour drive. So I've been following them for a while. But in general, I'll watch NFL games, NBA games. We recently got a Major League Soccer team in Orlando, the Orlando City Lions. And I have a friend that is one of the players on the team, so I've managed to get to a game or two and really taken an interest into it. It's been a lot of fun, and excited for when World Cups come around and that type of thing. And it certainly has gotten my interest in football, soccer as we call it, raised significantly.
Scott Phillips, an absolute pleasure talking to you again today. We're going to play off another track from Walk the Sky, and this track, can you maybe tell us a little bit about the song before we have a wee listen to it? It's Take the Crown.
Take the Crown. Probably one of our favorite songs right out of the gate once the album was sort of coming together and we were listening to demos. That was one that I was really drawn to. Miles will tell you the story of what it's about better than I would be able to. But it's basically about, just sort of standing up, not worrying about people that are coming at you or trying to knock you down, but just hold your ground and, strive for the best in general. He wrote it. It was based on a Little League experience he had as a youth playing baseball, and they were going up against the top team in their league or whatever it was, and how they all pulled together and managed to win that game and not be affected by their comebacks or any of that kind of stuff. So it's not quite as eloquent as I'm sure some people thought the song was about, but that's the basic story of it.
Let's hear it. State the Crown. It's from Alter Bridge. Scott Phillips, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was a good interview, Tom. Just remind us, where was it recorded?
That one was done at the Hydro in Glasgow, which is a big 10, 12,000 seater venue in Glasgow. A lot of the big rock bands play there now. Yeah. And we did it in the dressing room before the show. Shinedown were playing along with Alter Bridge. The two, it was just a co-headline thing. We interviewed Shinedown, and then we went into the dressing room and had a nice chat with Scott, which I enjoyed at the time. Hadn't listened to it since. Listened to it the other day when we were going to put this out, and I thought, I could hear that I enjoyed that interview.
That was a good interview, Tom.
Yeah. Did you? Oh, you recorded that at the same time as you did the interview with the Shinedown guy.
Ah.
That way. Have we done that one yet? Is that in
we've
the
recorded
camera?
it? Yes, I think we recorded it.
Yeah.
Was that done in the same tour? I can't remember.
Doesn't matter. I just thought maybe because you were there with him, and then you
probably is the answer. Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
Do you remember the gig, Tom? What was the gig like?
Oh, fabulous! What a terrific band!
Two good bands.
The first time I never saw Creed. I wasn't a non-fan of Creed. With Eyes Wide Open was their big hit, which obviously I played on the radio, but never met them, never had an interview with them. I don't think they were that huge in America, in Britain, sorry. They were pretty big in America.
Oh, yeah.
But as you know, the singer and the rest of the band didn't go on, so they went their separate ways. So the rest of the band found this new guy called Miles Kennedy, who, as you hear if you listen to any of the Alter Bridge music, or indeed some of the Slash music or some of his solo music, he's just a wonderful singer. Really good singer. And a smashing bloke as well, really nice guy. Miles Kennedy. So the rest of them got together with Miles Kennedy and brought out their first album, came over for a UK tour, and it was small venues. Now, where did they play that first time in Glasgow?
Is it the one he mentions in the interview?
I think he says, yes, we've been in an interview. I think he says, yes, we played Scotland
Yeah.
a few times in smaller venues before we
Right.
reached
Yeah.
this level at the Hydro.
Yeah.
So it was maybe the garage, but it was
The,
maybe the ABC. I can't quite remember.
it
Pardon
was
me.
the garage.
That's right. The garage.
Yeah. That's the confidence that I had after doing it for nearly 40
Yeah.
years to
Yeah, like
kid him on
tell,
about that. I
yeah,
couldn't have
tell,
done that with Neil Peart in 1983.
No, no.
I couldn't have done that.
telling some bloke he can't speak English. Garage. And later on, sorry, it's just for later on, but you were talking about whiskey, and he says,
Again.
yeah, well, it's a common theme now, I think, in the later interviews with Tom Russell. Yeah. Do you like a drum? Yeah, of course I do. You said, he was talking about whiskey, and he goes, I think the first one I had was, he was talking about one called Bullet, and you said it's
Bourbon.
bourbon, and he went, bourbon? Bourbon? Oh, what did he say, bourbon? So I did the Australian there, sorry. Bourbon. He said bourbon, like it was American. And I thought, he
So he was
didn't.
getting his own back, correcting
Yeah,
me
yeah,
on
yeah,
my
yeah,
pronunciation.
Exactly.
Yes, he did. Yeah. He was subtle about it. He was subtle, Tom.
He was a smart guy.
Yeah.
There's no E in whiskey, that's for sure. Anyway.
Yeah.
So how did you feel? What was he like as a bloke? Was he easy to interview? It sounded like he was, Tom, but was he easy to interview?
Very. The whole band I got on with because going back to when I was saying that first tour, there was a Scottish band called Logan, who were huge fans of Creed. They were really into that sort of that American sound, and they actually, one of them actually wrote to me or emailed or text or whatever it was. We're talking maybe 2005 or something,
Right.
maybe 20 years ago, and said, "Hi Tom, any chance of playing this new band Alter Bridge on your show? They're a fabulous American band. They're coming over to tour fairly soon in the UK, and we're huge fans of them, and it would be great." So I dug out the first album and played a couple of tracks.
All right.
A few weeks later or months later, the tour happened, and Roadrunner Records, was it Roadrunner? Anyway, the record company contacted me and said, "We've got this band playing in Glasgow, Tom. Would you like to do an interview?" At that time, I was doing the lunchtime show 5 days a week on rock radio in Glasgow. So I said, "Yeah, bring them in live." So the whole band came in, and we sort of
Nice.
became friends, for want of a better expression. They were chuffed that we were doing an interview at this big radio station, and I was chuffed that they had come in. Went to the show. I had a couple of beers with them afterwards. So then the next time they came, I think they had Logan supporting. I think they had Logan supporting certainly for the Scottish states. So it was really nice in this interview. What was it, nearly 15 years later, that even though Logan are long gone, they almost made it. There are some good songs, but didn't quite make it. So it was really nice that in 2019, Scott still remembered the guys from Logan and gave them a wee mention in the interview.
It's related to the interview, but it's also more, I guess it's more wider question to both of you about music. I mean, I have to confess, I'm not an Alter Bridge fan. I love his voice, but I just find the music really vanilla, right? And that's just my opinion, right? It's just my opinion. I've seen him a couple of times, didn't enjoy it, so I'm not a fan. However, there's something about them that works because they're really big. They're a big band, and it doesn't matter if I like them or not. They're a big. But what's the appeal? Because it just, to me, it sounds like Nickelback without the Nick. I don't quite get it. What is it?
Well, like you, I am not a big Alter Bridge fan at all, and I did listened to, what was the album called?
This one, Walk the
Yeah,
Sky.
Walk the Sky. I listened to that, and I thought, the first time, as per usual, the first time I listened to an album, that I don't like that. And then I listened to it again, and I listened to it again, and I listened to it again. And I was like, oh yeah, the songs are very anthemic. A lot of them are very anthemic, and they build up really well. They're great, and he's a great singer. He's not my favorite. He's not my favorite singer, but I'm more Dave Coverdale, Paul Rodgers, Frankie Miller, belters. He's more a sort of like a soaring. At some points I thought it was Journey actually.
Yeah, it does sound a bit like Journey at times.
I went, wow, he could slot in well with Journey, but he's not going to because he's obviously. But I was thinking, that sounds a bit like Journey. But they were really, I enjoyed it. Not eventually. I enjoyed it. It was good. It was a good album. And I've got one of my mates who lives up in Peart in Aberdeen now. He's a massive Alter Bridge fan, and he's always like on at me to go to. Yeah. He's got tickets for the next show.
Ah, right, okay.
Yeah.
I think probably the first album by Alter Bridge that anyone should listen to if they're checking Alter Bridge out is the Blackbird album.
Right.
Right.
That right at the beginning, and that's one of my favourite albums. Great album. So if you haven't checked that one out, Andy, maybe have a listen to it on.
Is that why? Because I watched the concert from Glasgow, most of the concert from Glasgow on YouTube, and is that why he plays Blackbird?
Yes.
The Beatles song.
Blackbird's from that album.
Right, so he plays a version of the Beatles song.
Oh, right. Right. Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Like, I don't know if that's like the intro and then he plays a song from Blackbird. I don't know. Probably, probably that's why.
Can't remember. But that album is I think the best album.
I'll need to listen to it, Tom.
Check that
I'll write that.
You can tell me next week. That'll be your homework for this week.
Okay. Straight after the interview, I'll put it on. The appeal of that American sound. I mean, ironically, I quite like Creed. Isn't that weird? Because I don't know. I love the fact that folk like different music. I mean, I think that's the bottom line, isn't it? There's some things just work and there's other things that don't work. The sort of the American sound is rich with Alter Bridge, and they're getting, in many ways, they're probably bigger now in the UK than they've ever been because they're doing a festival now, aren't they, Tom?
Oh yeah, their own festival in Cardiff later this year. Sorry, next year.
Next year,
summer 26.
Well, you mentioned in the interview that Scotland was one of the first places that took them to heart. I think you said. Yeah.
It was.
What do you think? What do you think that makes them? That makes Scottish punters go, you're for us, kind of thing.
It's not the naff singer coming on with a kilt on.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that
that as you know, happens quite often. But that's not something that Alter Bridge would be doing. I just think their songs are good. They're entertaining live. Mark Tremonti's a first-class guitarist. As I said earlier, Miles Kennedy, beautiful singer.
And Andy's quite a good singer too, Mark Tremonti.
Yeah, Mark is, yeah.
Yeah. Because there's one song on the album and I was going, oh, that doesn't sound like Miles Kennedy. And then when I watched the concert back, like Mark Tremonti, is that his name?
Tremonti, mm-hmm.
Tremonti, he was singing.
He's got a side project that when Miles is away touring with Slash or with his own band, Mark, he's got this band called Tremonti that are a good bit heavier than Alter Bridge.
Okay.
A real metal band, really quite heavy. But I prefer Alter Bridge.
Yeah.
But, I asked in an interview, and I thought it was good when I asked him about the fact that they were touring a new album, how much of the new album that they would be playing, and he says, "Well, we've got seven songs from the album, and we rotate them." He said, "There's one, I can't remember what song it was, but there's one song that's been in the set but the others we rotate.
Right.
And I also asked them, asked a lot of bands this over the years about how when you write a song and you record it in the studio and you sit there and you think, oh, that chorus, that will go down an absolute storm live. We'll get everybody singing, that's going to be great live. And then you go out and tour and you play it and it falls flat as a pancake. And he says, that's happened often in our careers. And there's other songs that you record in the studio for the album, and you think, that's all right. That's maybe a bit of a filler, and it ends up a really popular song with all the fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the other reason they probably do that, and I think the interviews that you've done, Tom, this is one of the themes that's come through, is that the bands are human. And they have to rotate the songs because they get bored to death if they just keep doing the same gig every night. It's and again he was quite. I mean, they're one of the hardest working bands on the planet. They always seem to be touring Alter Bridge. They're either headlining somewhere or supporting somebody, or they're doing multiple other splinter groups or something. They're incredible. Their work rate's amazing. But it must be so difficult. I mean, I really admire them because of the all bands that can do it for, month after month after year, it's incredible how they do it. And I guess that's why they vary the songs, Tom. That's all I'm saying. Just saying I guess that's one of the other reasons why they vary the songs, as well as testing them out. You're absolutely right, of course.
Explained quite well how different it is recording in the what do we call this now? The 20s, or the noughties, or
it's the 20s.
What do we call this era?
20s.
The
2020. The 2020.
Roaring 2020s.
Yeah.
How recording in the 20s compared to, I mentioned to him the Beatles and the Stones back in the 60s, and even Sabbath, recording an album beginning to end in 2-3 days. And you listen back and it sounds fabulous.
Yes.
And nowadays it takes months and months, if not years, to do an album. And he explained that quite well, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah. Although he did say, he said, I had to listen back because I rewound it back. He said, in a way that the bands had it easier in those days to record albums. And then later on he goes, but it's easier now for us to record albums. Maybe he was just talking about the technology, but
yeah.
I went, what did he say? He said they had it easy, and then we've got it easy. Well, I don't know. Yeah, just me. Yeah. It sounded like they enjoyed the recording process, and I liked the way that he. I thought it was sort of. You mentioned that all the bands share the songwriting, but then he did say, aye, but the other two write the songs the most.
Right.
Yeah.
There's not that many drummers that are the main songwriters.
No.
I'm just interested to what do you as a drummer contribute?
Yeah.
To the songwriting.
Yeah. Thought it was good.
We asked him about his favourite drummer.
You did.
John Bonham. You guys concur with that?
But it's his favourite drummer, aye, sure.
No. Would you rate John Bonham as one of the greatest ever?
Oh yeah, sure.
Definitely, there's nobody hit the drums as hard as John Bonham. My God, he hit the drums hard. And he made a lot of the Zeppelin stuff unique because of the way he played drums. I mean, I don't think technically he's Neil Peart, but he was also Neil Peart's hero. So it's kind of can't really argue.
Hey, this is slightly off tangent. I was watching an interview with someone the other day, and they were talking. Oh, it was that guy, Rick Beato.
Oh, that was amazing. Yeah. Sorry, Tom. This is
thing.
Yeah.
And he mentioned that Neil Peart was 6'5".
Yeah.
I did not know this.
I didn't know that either. I didn't know that. He doesn't look. They must all be tall.
Was he 6'5", Tom? You've interviewed the man.
I think he must have shrunk when he was in Edinburgh.
Right.
To be honest, the one and only time I met him doing that interview, which was the
Yeah.
first of our series of podcasts, of course, at
Second.
Ingleston, was early 80s, so it's like
Yeah.
40 odd years ago. So to be perfectly honest, to remember how many inches he had over me, I haven't
He was
actually, can't
he
remember.
was sitting down anyway, so you know.
He was.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. I just thought it was a bit funny because I was like,
Have you seen the new
wow.
Zeppelin documentary, guys? Have you watched that?
Not
Yes.
yet.
Yeah, I mean, there's a fair bit in that. It's worth watching, Tom, because it's kind of in two halves. Because well, it would be three halves. Would it? What a stupid thing to say. Anyway, it's definitely in
Okay.
half. The first half is there's interviews. The second half is basically concert footage. But
Yeah.
there's quite a lot about Bonham's drumming style and how he did play very peculiar off the beat, and a bit like AC/DC as well. They don't quite play on the beat. They're quite different in terms of giving that. I remember Brian Johnson say, "We're a rock and roll fan, and the drummer gives you the role." Remember that interview, Andy? And I think that is something that a lot of these great drummers have. They somehow make the music much more.
The swing.
It's the swing, yeah. Of course,
Yeah.
yeah. And Bonham definitely did that. I mean,
Oh
despite
yeah, definitely.
amazing fills and hitting the drums really hard, he did that beautiful way of playing the drums that you can. There's not that many of them do it. And even the AC/DC example is quite good because the replacement drummers from Rudd, I don't think any of them have had that.
No.
The
That
difference.
who's the guy? The guy with the bald head.
Chris Slade.
Chris Slade.
Slade.
Yeah.
I never liked him playing live in AC/DC. I heard some stuff and I was like,
He
"Oh,
doesn't
mate,
speak very,
you've not."
very highly of you either, Andy.
That's because I've knocked his haircut.
He's headlining one of the nights at Bonfest next year. He's 82.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to hopefully meeting him.
But
Lovely guy.
yeah,
I've got an interview with him somewhere, which
you?
will.
Right, okay.
But
I haven't come across that one yet.
To me, he didn't have the same swing as Phil Rudd.
He didn't. He would say it himself, I'm sure, as
Yeah,
well. I mean, I don't think it's a different style
Too
of
many,
drum.
and he had too many drums.
Yeah, he did.
A lot of drums. For AC/DC, he had a lot of drums.
A lot of
Anyway,
drums.
Surprising that Angus allowed that. Angus said to me in one of the interviews, I don't think it was the one that we had a few weeks back.
Right.
It's one of the interviews that I've done with Angus. Angus talks about drummers. I think it was maybe at the time that they were between drummers or they just changed
Right.
drummers.
Yeah.
We'll find out when I find the interview and we'll put it out in this series. But Angus says, when it comes to drummers, I just can't be bothered with these fancy drummers with all the fancy drums and all the fancy. All I want is a good, steady, repetitive beat. That's what I want. Me and me brava. That's what we want for the AC/DC sound.
Yeah.
I must try and find that interview.
It works for them. Yeah.
And the
I'm sure it
Beatles.
does. Talking about John Bonham, one of my favourite drummers of all time, and a good friend, sadly no longer with us, was Ted McKenna from the Sensational Alex Harvey Band. He also played with Michael Schenker Group and various other bands. And Rory Gallagher, he played with Rory for a while. Fantastic drummer and a lovely person, sadly no longer with us. And I remember Ted telling me that not only was John Bonham his favourite drummer, but John Bonham taught him drums. Not when I say taught him, he was a drummer. He was playing in the Sensational Alex Harvey Band, so he was a pretty good drummer. But he became friends with John Bonham, and they used to go to John Bonham's house, and Bonham would show him different tricks.
Really?
And different.
Cool.
Oh, wow.
All right.
Sadly,
That's cool.
Ted sadly missed. You would have been interested, the two of you, no doubt, in the story about the Royal Albert Hall. That when you think a heavy metal or hard rock band deciding to do a one-off show at the Royal Albert Hall in London with a 52-piece orchestra. They recorded it and brought an album out, but it was quite a move.
Oh yeah, fantastic. And I think, I mean, I've heard that recording, and it's very good. It works. It doesn't always work, does it, with the orchestras? But I think it works quite well with them.
No, I thought it was interesting as well when they were talking about the rehearsal process, when he said they had the recordings from the orchestra to work with, and then so they could rehearse with it, and then they would be playing their stuff and then forget what they were playing because they were too busy listening to what was going on in the orchestra. And that's pretty cool. It's like, you're just like, oh man, that is so good. You just forget what you're playing because you're interested in the music. It's great. Yeah, I didn't have time to listen to that. Yeah, but I'll check out Blackbird and the live one as well.
And the sound at the Albert Hall is fabulous. You know, it's just terrific. The sound engineers in there must be geniuses, because I don't think I've ever heard a bad recording from that place. You know, it's just fantastic. Fantastic.
Anything else from the interview that stood out for you guys?
Do you know, I was just taken by how nice he was. And I mean, and I liked, and we've spoken about it already, but I liked the way that he talked about the way they create the music. I thought he sounded like a guy that would be fun to have on tour. You know, he wouldn't be like some of these people. We not many, I have to say, but some of them. You know, you think, oh God, you know, I'm not sure I'd want to be sitting on a bus with this guy for 9 months of the year. But he seemed the sort of guy you could sit and talk to him. You know, and I liked that, Tom. And it came across. Maybe it was your brilliant interviewing style, but he definitely came across as a guy that I wouldn't mind meeting and having a beer with.
Yeah. The whole band are like that.
Yeah, he was he was nice about.
They're all nice guys.
Yeah,
he was also nice about the hydro.
He was
like
very complimentary.
About the venue and the environs. I didn't think I'd use that word today, but I did. The environs of the hydro. Yeah, it's. I've never been. I've walked past it. I've walked past it when it was changing colour. But never been inside.
A lot of people have discussions, no doubt, on GlasgowApollo.com about it. But it's not the Apollo.
That's right.
But realistically, you have to accept what all these. But every interview I've done when I've talked about this sort of stuff with every band, big bands, wee bands from all over the world, and they'll say the same thing. If Glasgow still just had the Apollo, and there was no SEC, no Hydro, there would be very few major bands coming to play in Glasgow. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed this podcast. We've got lots more already recorded and lots more still to do. I've been rummaging in my loft, in my attic, on a regular basis. So if you'd like to subscribe, it costs you nothing. Just press the button that says subscribe and we'll tell you when the next one's coming up. Thanks for watching and listening.